Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin preparing for the test. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. We do have the sale on the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below as well. Lock in the low rate if you want to know how I am navigating these markets. You will get access to weekly reports and videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the Into the Cryptoverse app, and more. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we have to prepare for the test. Now, is the test about to happen or not? Well, it's hard to say, right? I don't have a crystal ball. Again, I don't. I mean, Bitcoin could be at 50K tomorrow for all I know. But it doesn't change the fact that there is a non-negligible chance that sometime in the not so distant future, Bitcoin tests the 20-week. We're not even that far away from it, right? I mean, the 20-week moving average is only 42.7K. So we're only about $2,000 higher, not even $2,000 higher than the 20-week moving average. Now the 21-week EMA is coming in at a very modest 40.9K. Now, something that's interesting, I don't know if we're actually test this level, but I thought it was kind of interesting. If you draw a line from this prior local top of January and just go across, it sort of goes right through the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, and they're sort of converging together. So, imagine extending these out for a little bit. You would expect these to really start to converge together here, and that could be a crucial test. I mean, and I got a lot of questions recently about, can this be a test? Like, can it be a test if it's already testing it? Yes, right? I mean, there's no reason why it can't. Now, what I would like to see in the event of a test, right, which would mean a sustained correction where we continue to go down for a little bit, we would like to see it hold for at least a number of weeks, okay? Now, a number of months would be better, but I would say a number of weeks at the very least. If we only are on it for, say, 1 week or something, I don't know that it would provide the necessary support to, that we would like to see anyways, to really give us that confidence to propel us to ultimately what we would hope to be a six-figure Bitcoin. If you go back and look at prior moves, this one over here was about a month and a half of testing it. And then if you go back to the prior cycle, there were short tests, but all the short tests, we were already above the 20-week. Getting above it and then coming back down to it, you always want to see a long test, okay? And here's even another one that was coming back down from above. You don't want to drop through immediately. And that is sort of what you want to avoid. Because if something like this were to happen, where we sort of get above it a little bit and then we just come straight back down, then again, we have to kick the can down the road for a little bit. It's sort of like what happened, here, but we only had a wick above it, or here where we went above and then we ultimately did not hold it as support. So back in May, I told you guys, I said, expect 3 to 6 months of a summer lull or a lull in the market, right? I mean, if it's 3 months, it's a summer lull. If it's a 6-month lull, then obviously it extends the rest of the year, essentially. We said expect 3 to 6 months, okay? By the way, I will remind you, I mean, obviously it seems obvious now, but back then, most people were telling you it was going to 300K, okay? We said 3 to 6 months, we need a cool-off phase. So now, my thinking has not changed, right? It's 3 to 6 months from that point. We've already done 3 months, right? We've already put in 3 months of time of time to just wait and see what happens, right? Let's go over. This is now, we're in our 14th week, okay? So we're already looking at about 3 months in now. If you're assuming about 4 weeks a month, a little over 4 weeks a month, maybe 4.5 weeks per month, you're looking at around where we currently are. So the question is, will we pass the test? Okay, will we pass it? Or is it time to go back to the sandbox for a few months? And, I don't really see a problem with either way, in my opinion. Either way is fine with me. If we hold it as support and we ultimately are propelled to new levels, then so be it, right? Bring it on. We've had plenty of time to accumulate. Remember, I told you guys back over here that, when you're sort of bearish, when the market is bearish, we're below the 20-week, things are generally moving down, that's a great time historically to accumulate, okay? And I would say the same thing goes in the event of if we don't hold the 20 week. So if we don't hold it, then I would say we are just simply kicking the can down the road. Okay, that's my argument. We're just kicking the can down the road about 3 months probably before we can hopefully get back above it and test it again. And the reason why I say that is because, I said 3 months primarily because we've seen a lot of times in the summer, the market kind of just, drags its feet for a little bit. And while I know a lot of people are really excited about the gains that you've seen in the last couple of weeks or so, or the last few weeks, I still should remind you that we are significantly down from the all-time highs, except for maybe a few pet project altcoins that you guys have. But again, we are still significantly down from the prior all-time highs. So to some degree, it hasn't really changed. Okay, nothing's really changed in the last 3 to 6 months. In the last 3 months. We're still, I mean, at least we're not in our sandbox anymore. Now we have a major test coming. Assuming this actually keeps going down and we don't just wake up tomorrow and we're at like 50K or something. So what I'm looking for in order to see a successful test of the 20 week, we're looking for a several week period, more than likely, where we hold it as support. And if we do that, then I will be very optimistic and bullish on moving to the 6-figure mark. Okay. If we are unable to hold it, which I do want people to be aware that is a possibility, if you go back in time and look at other moves of getting below the 20 week, we don't usually hold it as support the first time. So if we are able to do it, this would be the one of the first times. I mean, let's just go take a look. So again, don't take my word for it. Go look at the data. This was a time we dropped below the 20 week, and then on our first test to get above it, we actually got rejected. And then when we actually got above it, we actually got rejected. So these were all rejections, and it was this third attempt that we ultimately were able to hold it as support. If you go back over here, there were, here was an attempt to get above it. We got rejected. Here we actually got above it, but the first one did not hold as support. It was the second one. It was the next one that held. So that's the point, is to say, is it possible that we hold it on the first attempt? Of course it's possible, right? I mean, of course it's possible. It's just that we also know that holding it on the first attempt isn't as likely as holding it on the second. So, if we don't hold it on the first attempt, and then we get to say like a second attempt, I would say we have a much higher probability at holding it there than we would on our first attempt. That doesn't mean we can't hold it on the first attempt, but I think everyone needs to understand that if we do hold it on the first attempt, then the market sentiment will change exceedingly quickly. Okay, I mean, it'll like that. Market sentiment will change on a dime, and everyone's just going to say who bought the dip. Okay, so we put out a video, not that long ago saying, Bitcoin is really key to a portfolio. I mean, I just put it out yesterday, right? Don't neglect Bitcoin. It's easy to chase the altcoins, and I have altcoins in my portfolio, but don't neglect Bitcoin because it will help protect you from the downside risk if in the event we do not hold the 20 week. So for now, we're not even at the 20 week, right? We're still a little over, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 away from it. We're a little bit further away from the 21 week EMA. So we have a little wiggle room in the event that we continue to drop here. Again, the 20 week SMA is coming in at 42.7K. The 21 week EMA is coming in at 40.9K. So we do have a little bit of wiggle room there in order to drop and still technically be above the 20 week. Now, another thing to consider in the event of a sustained drop, a wick below the 20 week on the weekly time frame is irrelevant. We don't care about that. Like if we see one day the price going down to 38K or something, as long as it's coming back up before we get our weekly close, then we'll just remember it as a wick and no one's actually going to care about it. Now, during the time, it can be somewhat scary, but when you go back and look at the last cycle, we don't really talk about this wick. But this was a wick that was fairly significant. It dropped below the 20 week by approximately 15%, but then we came up relatively quickly. Here was another drop below the 20 week of approximately 6 or 7%. And then there's some more wicks over here. So we don't care about wicks, right? No one's going to get out of bed for a wick. I just want you guys to be aware that a wick is completely irrelevant because it can just be triggered by, maybe by, a liquidation hunt on for longs or something like that. So we are not that interested in wicks. We more want to see weekly closes either above the 20 week if you want to see it hold, or below the 20 week if you want to go back to playing in the sandbox. I'm of the personal opinion that either is fine. Again, if we fail to hold it as support, then we just kick the can down the road a few more months, and we'll have a little bit more fun playing in the sandbox before we kick off the next leg of the cycle. But anyways, we just came off 4 weeks of green, and we have one move where we're down 5% and everyone's acting like the world's ending. Let's just take a step back. Hey, take a step back. Recognize that it's been a crazy month. The last 4 weeks have been absolutely ridiculous, and that if we were to come back to the 20 week, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, that everyone's going to be super fearful if that happens, just because they're more so just wanting to know what's happened in the last week, not what's happened in the last month. Because again, in the last month, from the bottom of the wick, we are still up 52%. Imagine telling yourself when the price was at 29K that you're going to be worried about a $44,000 Bitcoin only 4.5 weeks later. You probably would have laughed. But here you are, right? Here you are. So anyways, hopefully this was somewhat informative. Again, the main thing is that I get questions, does this count as a test? If we come down and test it, why shouldn't it, right? We're above it. We've had weekly closes above it. We had a weekly close open. We had a weekly open above it and a weekly close above it. And we had another weekly open above it. So if we come back down and test it, then most certainly that would count as a test if in fact we are able to hold it as support. If in the event this is a fake out on the shorter term timeframes and we go back up to like 50K, 51, 52K or something, and then maybe we roll over and come down, then that'll be the test, okay? But right now, we'll keep a close eye on it and see if in fact the Bitcoin bulls can hold the line. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember, we do have the premium list sale. If you want to know how I'm navigating these markets, make sure you guys check that out. You can find a link to that in the description below, and you can keep the low rate as long as you do not cancel your monthly subscription. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe. Let's go for 500,000 subscribers. Click the bell icon to turn on notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.